All right, Heather, I moved apartments and I've lived to tell the tale, although I'm covered in bruises. Thank you to Ativan.
You survived. Attention those who voice to text in a small and otherwise quiet waiting room. We all hear you, period. And we wish we didn't, period.
Yeah, no kidding. There's an upswing in actual audio texts that my friends are sending me now, which is fine. It's a feature designed to be used. But it feels like voicemail all over again, and I hate voicemail.
You hate voicemail. I am itchy, sleepy, sweaty, spacey, bitchy, crampy, and forgetful. Ah, yes. I have finally made the acquaintance of the notorious 7 dwarves of perimenopause.
Oh, girl, I hear that. Have such a good day. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just that. Sarah, it is episode 192.
This is the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday inscrutable life.
Inscrutable, good word.
We talk about things that you would talk about with a friend at a bar or a barbecue or on the phone. Just, kind of yakking it up. Speaking of, how y'all doing out there today? It's been a minute. We miss you.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, so real quick, for anybody who cares about the show and notices things, we did not do a show last week, and you can all blame me for that. I was moving apartments, and just, I don't know, various life stuff was also happening, and it got to be too much. So thank you for your patience. We are back. Heather and I are, we're ready to start the new era of things. I am currently sitting in a different studio than I used to be sitting in. And there's a lot that has yet to be done, but we are here. We are alive.
We're alive.
That's right.
We are eager beavers, and we have things that are coming out of our ears that we want to talk to y'all about, want to share.
We if you're new to the show, Have Such a Good Day is a cornucopia, another good word, of kind of just Heather and my here's what we've been doing since we saw each other last. You don't see us, but we see each other right now, and life always gives the curveballs. I mean, even when you hope it doesn't, it does.
It does. Yeah.
It never doesn't.
Yeah.
It is a curveball kind of thing.
No, it doesn't. I mean, there's joyous moments in between, but there's like a lot of it's cruel.
Oh God.
You get bruised, you get smacked around a little bit, but in between there's some yummy snacks and some happy moments. We all strive to have such a good day.
I always and Heather, you had written to patrons recently about this thing called life, and like in my mind it's like Prince in this thing called life. Let's go crazy.
Yeah, totally. Yes.
Because like why not, right? I mean, what the fuck
Totally.
are we all doing otherwise?
Like I was saying, I think I maybe mentioned this in passing, or maybe it was a dream because, gosh, a lot happens in my dream life. But yeah, like we kind of like to rap about, you talk about everything but the kitchen sink, when you're trying to be creative in the kitchen. Well, I feel like we are literally trying to drill down to like all the minutia, the day-to-day, being human, things that we can all relate to. We all go through this. We wake up. We have doozies of days, and it's always interesting. There's never not an interesting day.
It is never not interesting. I will give it that. Thank you, life, for bringing the interest. So I mentioned that I moved. I had, we've been talking about this for a few weeks, and I moved last week. It was really stressful. Anybody who's moved, before is like nodding their heads like, yeah, it's stressful. I know this. I have moved so many times, and yet I really have.
You really have, Sarah,
and
like
yet
more than I have.
I would put this, if I'm ranking moves, this might be number one. It was tough.
Yeah. Oh, really? You think it was probably one of the worst?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's hard to
Oh, it's one of
remember
the
all the
worst, if
details,
not the
though.
worst. There
Oh
were a lot of
man.
things that, you know, I had movers. They, yeah, kind of, they did lots of things right, but they, didn't do lots of things right. So it was sort of something where I was like, okay, I have to like deal with this myself later. There was sort of just kind of the like strange depression that comes with leaving a house that you've loved, and memories and that sort of thing. Which I'll get over, but that's part of it. And
Oh, for sure.
dealing with my pets and making sure that they're safe, and all the things. And honestly, Heather, I have never eaten worse than I have.
Yeah,
I
tell me
have
about what you
never
ate.
eaten worse. I mean,
The dregs in the kitchen, in the
oh no, I
refrigerator.
mean, we're not even, the fridge is out. At this point, it's like any McDonald's that I see, I stop and I just eat there because I have to like eat something because I'm going from point A to point B and like I have no time. What am I gonna do? Like make myself a nice salad?
Wait, you went to McDonald's?
Yes, Heather. Yes. More than
What'd you
more than a
get?
few times. Well, I like their McNuggets. So that's
Nice. God, I didn't know this about you.
what? Come on. You knew
This
this about
no,
me.
this is juicy, juicy info. Carry
There
on.
was no, I'm gonna remind you. So when we both lived in LA, in East LA, in the Echo Park neighborhood, some of you who have been listening to the show for a while would remember at one point Heather and I were like 3 blocks away from each other. We were, neighbors, and it was awesome. There was a McDonald's pretty close to both of us. I went there somewhat often.
Really? But you kept it quiet?
Well, I mean, it wasn't a secret. I just was like, I'm going through the drive-through and I'm gonna get some McNuggets. And I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna
Nice.
eat the McNuggets and watch something on television. Um, but when you're doing that, when you're kind of in the throes of moving and like your car is, packed with weird things, you're like, this is a little
You feel
strange. You
disgusting,
feel
like
you
it
you,
just
you
adds
feel
to
like
it.
you are phoning it in big time.
Yeah.
And that's how I've felt for, a good 7 to 9 days. But we are on the other side. There
Totally.
there 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 are organizational things to be done for sure. But the worst is finally over, and we did it.
I'm so glad,
Yeah.
Sarah. You survived yet another again. I keep telling you, there's a lot of book deals in your future. I
Yeah.
mean, there is going to be a
Because
good
who
solid
wouldn't
chapter
want
about
to
this.
read a book about like a shitty moving experience? Like I can't think of anything more fun.
If you make it funny though, and you kind of pull the dark humor out, I'm sure that it would be a big success
Yeah.
with me at least.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I could go into some of the minutia of what exactly the movers did that was weird, and or wrong, and or strange, yeah, and or slightly scary. But I
Yeah,
won't.
totally.
You can
Yeah.
probably, you can put
Oh
your
yeah,
imagination
100%.
to work, and thanks.
I've had similar experiences for
Totally.
sure.
So thanks y'all for just being patient with us while we
Totally.
get our pieces back together. By we, I mean me.
Well, it was actually probably a decent week to take off because my mouth was super cut up and it was bad. It was like it hurt to talk. And like I said, I think I mentioned the last show because I had gotten these two little braces on the side of some molars because I have a rogue tooth, but they didn't give me any wax, and so they were so sharp. In fact, there was like a little the edge where they cut the wire was so sharp, and like just it was just hard to eat. It was awful. I actually got them taken off yesterday. It was like the
Oh,
best decision I've ever made. And no, so it's kind of a long story, but in a nutshell, my mouth hurt.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so probably have been harder to do a podcast, but
Mm.
I'm way better now because I think they like installed them strangely or something. And when I went in, I felt a little
Installed.
sheepish. Yeah, or whatever.
Isn't it weird? Yeah, when we talk about
It is
like
very
dental work,
weird.
like they've
Oh yeah.
installed the molar brackets weirdly.
Well, they call it appliances, like the like all the boxes and like the
Uh-huh.
gear.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so there was this alternative to getting braces, which I should have just gone with. It just sounded more high maintenance, but I totally like it more. There's just two little, they call them buttons, and they're like porcelain, and they glue them onto the two teeth. You know, the one tooth that's the problem, and then the one next to it, and then you have to put a little rubber band around them, and
Mm.
it's actually it's way less. You don't have metal in your mouth. Your mouth isn't getting all cut up. It's like just so much less invasive. And I'm like, why didn't we just do that? Like, why didn't this dentist convince me? Anyway, way better on the mend. Anyway, we're I think that my point is that we're all under construction on some
Yeah,
level. You know,
I'll
it's
say.
like we're packing, we're unpacking, we're fixing our teeth, we're,
We're
I don't
fixing our
know,
teeth.
getting our
You
hair
know,
cut, getting a car
and
wash.
honestly, Heather, I would laugh about like, well, we're not all fixing our teeth, but guess who's fixing her teeth? My mother.
Your mother.
She
Yeah.
got Invisalign. She's into it. You know, she's just starting out. You know, it's like how you were
Good
a
for
year
her.
ago or, you know, whenever you started. You know, so there's like
Yeah.
we talk about Invisalign a lot because
It's very
when you
common now, though.
start, you're like, "Oh, you know, this is like extremely strange. Here's how my life is different. I want to talk to you about
And then you really
Invisalign."
adapt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, you know, and how I have to like eat and drink differently during the day, you know, and the rest of us are like, I have had Invisalign, so I get it, but I can only imagine like if you were just, you know, sitting across the table from somebody on a first date,
Oh, man.
and they're like, "Let me tell you more about my Invisalign." You'd be like, "Oh God."
That did happen. There was a teenager, she was 16, like laying next to me in the next like, dentist chair, and she was getting her braces off in like 2 weeks, and she started talking to me because she was so pumped, and she was telling me all about
Oh, that's cute.
her ups and downs with braces. It was very cute. I was like really happy for her. But yeah, speaking of, you can't, it's really hard to relate to what other people are going through. And I think that's the constant challenge with being, amongst other humans, is really trying to put yourself in another person's shoes. I think it's always hard. But yeah, especially with health stuff, and all the stuff that you've gone through this last year, and how, no one's on the ground with you. And I had to I went to, 'tis the season of going to see your allergist. It's springtime. I'm deep in it. Everything's blooming. It's actually quite a super bloom here because of all the rain that we got. I've never seen like more things growing in my life, and just the worst allergies of my life, and hard to really, you can grouse about it. People can see that you're not well, but it's like no one really totally
Gets
gets
it.
it,
Yeah.
and then you don't really want to complain about it. But there's always humor. That's my point. There's always humor in these things. And when I went to the allergist office, they do the typical kind of check your vitals. They weigh you, they check your height, they do your blood pressure. And so I'm doing that, and she's kind of the medical assistant's kind of sloppy, and like she quickly gets my height, and she's like, okay, 5'3", 5'3", and I was like, what? 5'3"? I beg your pardon. And I got like really ornery, and I'm like, I am not 5'3". I literally said that. I'm like,
Which is
can
so
you
funny.
actually
Like if someone was like, "You're five
measure
three," I'd
me?
be like, yeah, feeling
You're like, I'll
myself.
take it. But it was actually really funny to see the reaction. She was like, okay, it's cool. It's cool. We'll remeasure you. But that's sort of the funny story of that day, on top of hearing people do their voice narration in the waiting room. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I wanted to unpack a little bit of social
Yeah.
etiquette.
So what you're talking about is you're in a waiting room you're sitting there, everybody's silent, it's sort of supposed to be, right? And somebody is like, hi, period. I'll be there at
Yes.
noon, period. Will you be
Yes,
there, question
exactly
mark?
that.
That's
Yes.
okay.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's exactly what he said. And it was like period, comma. And it wasn't like he was even trying to be quiet. That was the other thing. It's like he could have easily just popped outside, because I actually got on the phone and I popped outside. And it was like a small room. The front door was right there. You didn't have to walk really far to get outside. Here's the thing. Look, if you do that, I have a friend, I talked to some friends about this, and I do have a pretty good friend who laughed and said, my husband hates that I do that because I do it all the time in the house. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. Because I don't really use it very much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Personally, I just type. But I might be being harsh. You guys can let me know. But I would personally, if I were to do that or attempt to do that, I'd feel sheepish, kind of like / like infringing on people if I did it in public. I would be
Well, and
way too
also, like,
self-conscious.
what if you're saying something that's like, I don't know, like not meant for
Well,
public?
yeah, personal.
Yeah.
TMI. But the thing is, he wasn't. It was like, I think we should circle back with the executives there, period. Like it was just like,
Period.
do I
Dot,
need
dot,
to hear
dot,
this,
question
bro?
mark. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and so but please let me know. Am I being too sensitive or critical? Be honest. I can take it. Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
So, and yes, please do. Because friend of mine, this is the last situation I can remember, but a friend of mine, probably about a year ago, we were in the Midwest for a wedding. And we had a rental car, and he was driving, and he was kind of doing work, where he's like, sorry, Sarah. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. Don't worry about me. I'm good. But it was like a lot of like voice dictation, and I think that we should, open the spreadsheet, period, question mark, blah,
Totally.
blah, blah. And, bring in so-and-so, comma, where I'm
Yeah,
like,
totally. That's exactly what it
yeah,
was.
I'm like, wow, you are kind of good at this. And at the same time, it's like really hard to listen to.
It is hard to listen to because it's such like drivel. It's just like this, it's stuff that you wouldn't hear someone saying because they're actually typing it.
Well, and listen,
it-
if you're, in this case, in your case, the person in the waiting room wasn't, operating a vehicle. But in my case, he was. And he was like trying to get some things done. And it's like, of course, like, I
Sure.
don't want you to
I
be
get
like,
that.
typing. Of course, of
That is
course
slightly
not. Of course not.
different.
And like,
Yeah.
I can't help because I don't even know what you're talking,
Sure.
who you're talking to. But it is odd. But one of the things that I think is, I don't know, I mean, I guess odd in a similar way, but it's when the friend will send you the voice text.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I
know?
have totally. There's certain
And-
people that's their thing and they don't text.
Right.
They
And
don't actually write anything out.
and they can decide when that text goes away. Like,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
it's only like an hour or maybe a day.
And then you're like, wait, I didn't even hear it.
Exactly. Well, okay. So I have a friend who's been doing this
Okay.
with me lately, and like she just, I don't know, she likes it. That's
Sure.
fine.
That's fair.
But like sometimes,
To each her own.
yes, exactly. There, Heather. There.
There. Yes.
But
Yes.
there've been a couple times where I'm like, yeah, I'll get to that later. I can't right now. And then I go back and I'm like, where is it? Did she delete it? Like, was it like weird?
That's
was
really
it something
funny.
she
I wonder
regretted?
what the content was.
Yeah, it's like there.
Did you ask?
Well, I did at first. I was like, what happened to you? You had a text. You sent me an audio text. And like, what happened to it? And she was like, oh, yeah, I have it set to like delete after, 12 hours, whatever. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, why
sending me
do that?
military
Unless it's like really
secrets?
scandalous.
Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It's really funny. I did it once not that long ago to somebody who likes them, but she never responded.
Ah,
And so but she has like babies, and she's just one of those people that isn't very good at getting back, and she knows it.
yeah.
But then she'll communicate on another platform a lot. And then, yeah, I'm like, it must have just maybe mine disappeared. Maybe mine didn't last long enough for her to listen to it.
Well,
Or maybe she was offended. I
the
don't know.
disappearing thing is, this is, you can set all sorts of parameters.
Yeah.
You can say, never let my message disappear, or let it disappear after 5 minutes, or something in between. So I was not aware of this until I had a friend who kept sending me audio messages that I really did want to hear. I just wanted to hear them on my terms. And
Yeah, of course.
that goes back to my voicemail thing from earlier. Like, voicemail used to drive me insane.
Oh, I know. I was there to witness.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, you leave Sarah a voicemail, she'll never hear it. It's like leaving it into
I'm
the,
just like, I
putting
don't
it
know
into
what's
the
in
ether.
there. I can't, like, I don't,
Never a good time to
yeah,
listen.
you could tell me so many things. Like, can you just text it to me, like, in a concise way, and then we can go from there. That would be preferable. But no, everybody's different.
Yeah, the voicemail thing is interesting because, like, I constantly get people saying, dude, your voicemail's full. You got to delete your voicemails. And I'm like, I know. Like, I have all these voicemails on there from my mom and my dad that I have to individually send to myself to get them off my phone, because you can't batch send them, or according to my research, you can't. Anyway, so that's
Yeah, I don't think
mostly why my voicemail is filled. And I do really there's certain people that totally leave me voicemails, and they're the ones that get annoyed that it's full. But a lot of times, most of the time, someone will call, leave a voicemail, and then I'll just call them back, 5 to 10 hours later. And then I don't listen to the voicemail. And then they're, oh, did you hear my voicemail? No. And then they have to like repeat themselves.
Yep.
I
Yep.
left this whole thing explaining this thing. It's a funny thing.
I cannot tell you how many times I've been like, using you as an example, even though you're not really one, but like, hey, Heather, oh, it's so nice to connect. I know you sent me a voicemail, but I just wanted to call back. Like,
Yes,
I don't know what
totally.
you said. You could have told me you killed a
I know.
family. I have no
Exactly.
idea.
Well, yeah. And then sometimes I'll even go back, like you're saying, it's never really convenient to listen. So usually at the time when it goes bing, you have a voicemail, I don't like listen to it right away. It might be days or weeks,
Yeah.
because I had already communicated with that person. But then I'll go back and I have an idle moment, like in the car or something, and I'll press play and I'll be like, oh, whoa, I had no idea. And then that topic didn't come up in the live conversation I had. And then I was just like totally out of the loop, So yeah, it's just like this lost information that, yeah, you there's no guarantee that, anyone's going to hear your voice messages. I mean, yeah, how do you is there a
You know
read
what,
messages
Heather?
on?
An astute statement. There's no guarantee that anyone
There's
will
no
hear
guarantee
you crying
about
into
anything.
the ether.
It can be dangerous.
Even
I mean, I bet
even if
there's
it's me, I might say, yeah, I didn't listen to that. But what's up?
But I'm like falling off the cliff, and I need you to call 911 or like, I mean, not that
Sorry,
I'd be
didn't
calling
listen.
you for that, but
Yeah, TLDR, Heather, come on. What do you need?
Speaking of incidents, Sarah,
Yeah.
I think this will pique your interest. I like to call it the lentil incident. I thought you might appreciate that.
I like it already.
So there's certain times of the month, as I referenced in the cold open, where I'm extra spazzy, and it's I
And
wouldn't
when you
even
mean spazzy, you
say-
mean like you're like amped?
No, I would say like, and I wouldn't even say clumsy, because I know clumsy people, but I might have a day where I'm trying to do too much and I'm moving fast.
Right.
I'm cooking. I'm
Yep,
doing a
yep.
lot, and
Gotcha.
I'm dealing with ingredients and going from the refrigerator to the stove to the cabinet, blah blah blah, finding a knife, and I sometimes have these accidents because of my spazziness that I find to be very funny and endearing. My boyfriend might disagree with that. I think he sometimes likes
At
to
the
watch me in the
endearing
kitchen.
part where
Yeah,
he's
the
like,
endearing part.
Heather,
Exactly.
stop.
Yeah, it was like, I think part of the problem is it's times when I'm in my head and I have a lot going on. And so I'm not super in the moment. I'm not present enough to know what my digits are doing, you know? So I'm kind of like, I'm like solving problems in my head, and then I'm trying to make my soup, and, you know, I'm using blades and knives and all these things. Anyway, I'm actually surprised
Blades.
sometimes.
What are the
Well, like
blades?
my food processor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got
Yeah,
it.
on, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. There's sharp blades
You
in those
got
things.
yeah, you got to be in you have to be
You got to be
present.
present. You really, really do. So that's why I do the ritual of like, I put my apron on. I'm like, okay, I'm here. Put my music on, and I'm like, I got to focus, because I was making my lentil soup, my famous lentil soup that y'all know about. Some of you have actually made it. Thank you very much. I know
Yeah.
Sarah has not.
Shout out to
So
the
I'm just going
Discord.
to
I haven't,
shout
but I
out.
might. But I might.
Well, you know what? Actions speak louder than words, Sarah.
Okay. Well,
But you've been busy. So like there's a step where you take your cup of lentils, and these are small French lentils. They're really
yeah.
thin and small. And I grabbed the measuring cup that was filled to the brim, because it was a cup, and I kind of pulled it over through the air over the pot,
Through the
and
air.
it all
Yes.
fell.
As one might do.
Just, I mean, an explosion, like a confetti explosion over the stove. And boy, was it hard to clean up, because it all went in where the burners are. It was such a mess, but I immediately started laughing. And my boyfriend actually cleaned most of it for me, because he's just good at that.
Because he's
but
a nice
it was very funny.
person.
Very, very nice person.
Yeah. Did we talk about my ramen burn incident?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How is your hand, by the way?
It's all right. It's all right.
Did you get like a 3rd-degree burn? How bad was it?
It was. At first, it hurt, but it was just sort of red.
Burns are the worst.
Couple days later, it started to like blister, and I was like, "Yikes!"
That's not good.
We are not out of the woods yet
Okay.
on this burn, but it's fine. I will.
Blistering
I will
isn't a
survive.
good sign. You will survive. Sarah, here's the thing. What won't kill you will make you stronger, or something like that.
No, I'm like a cockroach. You can't kill
you
me.
are kind of like a cockroach.
I mean, they've tried everything, and I'm still here, motherfuckers.
Yeah, you can't
So-
even be stomped on, Sarah, even though you're such a little person.
I mean, you could probably stomp on me, and I
Maybe.
wouldn't like it, but I'd still rise up out of the ash.
You would, like a phoenix.
True story. True story.
Well, it's good to see you alive and kicking, Sarah.
Well, thank you.
Mostly
You
kicking.
as well. I'm glad that we're all alive and kicking. Anybody who's listening to the show right now. I will say, just to pivot a little bit to other fun things in life.
Let's do it.
So for my day job, Daily Tech News Show, yesterday was like one of our parties. And what I mean by that was it was Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference,
It's a big one.
WWDC. Yeah, like whole thing. Like it's like nerds around the world sit there and cannot wait for the keynote.
Are you one of those people?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Like
I am
you-
for my job, but I also
Sure.
do care.
You do care. You do.
Yeah, totally. Like it's fun. It is
Yeah.
fun. We are at a barbecue of sorts.
Is it like literally a barbecue?
No, I mean, I'm just saying like that's
It's like being at a
that's
barbecue.
How fun I think it is. Yeah, where
It
I'm
would
like,
be kind of cool if you guys had
"Yay."
food, like
Yeah.
while you're
well,
doing this
starts at
conference.
10 a.m. Pacific time.
Oh, true. Yeah.
A lot of things, obviously, that are very nerdy were talked about, but one of the big things was Apple's latest VR headset, VR AR headset. I think the official term at this point is XR because it's
Okay.
V and A.
Both. Okay.
It's XR headset called the Apple Vision Pro. Heather, have you heard anything about
I have
this?
actually. I heard how expensive it is on the radio this morning, but I don't know exactly.
$3,500. Yeah.
Crazy. So are you going to get one?
No. But because are you kidding? I this is what I'm saying is not like, everybody who follows the space feels the same way that this is a developer product.
Uh-huh.
It's designed for developers to like make some fun shit, you
Yeah,
know?
totally.
Go back to Apple and say, here's what to do differently. And then Apple kind of goes, okay, here's what we do differently. At the same time, the parts become cheaper. And then maybe in 2 to 5 years, the headset becomes more like $1,200
Sure.
or even less,
Yeah. It's like an iPhone,
for consumers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's new, it's interesting. It's I
A
mean,
work in progress.
I love VR. You know this.
Yeah, totally. You have many headsets.
I have three.
I mean, are they all
I wouldn't
different?
say I have
mean,
many, but I have three. But they're
well,
all
is three a few or is that many considered
I
many?
think three is a few and several is four or more.
Okay, got it.
I think.
You almost have several.
I have three. I have a
Okay.
few. But I love them.
So tell me what this new one, why is this so fancy? I know it has like more pixels, like it's like more sharp than 4K, but like why do you need that?
Well,
It's like how sharp can you get?
good cue. Good cue. So there are a lot of things about it. I mean, I haven't tried this out. So I mean, I'm spitballing a little bit, but
Okay.
the headset is I guess you could say that it differentiates itself from others because you don't have controllers with your hands.
Yeah.
You know, you just you work it out with your eyes, where your eyes are looking and where your hands are moving, and that's what you do. From all accounts I've heard from people who have, had some time with us, it's really good.
I
That
bet. I
said,
mean,
I'm
3,500
like,
bucks.
well,
Better be.
well, yeah, but it's also designed to be a productivity tool. Like I during the keynote yesterday, I was like, I can't wait for them to talk about Fitness Plus, Apple Fitness Plus. Never did, never came up. Where I'm like, what? Why would I buy this damn thing then? I want to work out.
I mean, that's what you mostly use it for. I mean, you're not really a gamer. I mean, what else do you use your current three headsets for other than working out?
Tetris, but also mostly working out.
Huh.
Yeah. The
I didn't know you played Tetris with those.
Tetris
Or that
Effect is
you
actually
did
like
personally.
super fun on the
I bet.
MetaQuest universe. But anyway, but yeah, it's I don't know. It was without having seen the keynote. I think some of the things that I could like pick apart maybe would be lost on everybody listening. But it was like there was something dystopian about it.
Oh, I bet. Totally.
Yeah, and it's not because I don't want to try it. I do.
Yeah.
I get it. I 100% like, bye, I'm putting my headset on. See you guys in a couple hours. Like no problem.
Yeah.
But there's something dystopian about selling that to, a wider market. And, I'm not sure if that's I mean, this is me like I am like super enthusiastic about it, but there's something about it that's weird.
It's a little dark. It's like it's kind of
Yeah.
like it's opening like Pandora's
It was
box
just in the back
or
of my
something.
mind the whole time of like, yeah, you know what? This looks pretty cool. And I don't know how we're all going to fare because of it.
Like it could potentially someone could use it for harm, maybe.
Or just you would, okay, so So again, I'm talking about the, the Apple presentation that I was watching. And, you have like a variety of situations where they're like, and here's how your life will be better, because
Totally.
you want to be more productive. And, this is Apple, right? So it's like a person in like a super fancy apartment that like
Yeah.
looks really cool on its
Like
own.
overlooking like, Central Park or
Exactly. Yeah, and they put the headset on, and you're like, but why would that person want to do that?
yeah.
Like, why do they want to escape this like really cool life? The Apple life type thing. There's
Yeah.
something about that that like isn't totally connecting for me,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting. Well, I definitely, I should probably listen to your daily show to get
Yeah,
my
Heather.
fill. Yeah, but keep me posted on anything interesting because I like dystopian. I mean, not like in a harmful way, but I do like
No,
my
not for ourselves.
no, not for ourselves, but I do enjoy it as
Yeah.
a narrative style. But speaking of the digital world evolving at a scary fast pace, Sarah Lane, as you know and y'all know, I mean, I'm a digital gal. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm as tech savvy as you are. You can definitely you nerd out a little more than I do. I mean, you obviously do it for a living. You know a lot more than I do. But you and I started working. I mean, I started in the tech industry in production,
Yeah.
being a TV producer. We both did.
Yeah.
And so we were covering technology in what we were producing for a long time. And I liked it. I mean, I went in some other directions. I actually did a lot of video game content and, some, other kind of narrative type stuff. But, I've always prided myself in like knowing about the latest developments. It's fascinating. I loved jumping on all the bandwagons and, just getting there early, getting a good Gmail account and just being digitally organized. I mean, there's so many wonderful tools out there, obviously. Like, and I was a young person with a cell phone, like an early cell phone user.
Yeah. Yeah.
First to get my email, like amongst, a lot of my friends, actually before I met you, Sarah, in college. And I when I first took over this business, as I've groused about on the show a couple years ago, this business that my dad was running up in the Northlands, he was a bit older school, he's from a different generation and he did things in a cool way. I respect how he did it, but he did it with paper. He has a filing cabinet. Everything is kind of hinged on, printing out the invoice and using checkbooks and, having a PO box where you get the mail, the snail mail, using stamps. You're kind of
God,
reverting back a little
stamps.
bit. I know
Yeah.
stamps and pens, all the things you hate, Sarah.
Well,
And
I hate them because I hate clutter, but I appreciate them as well.
well, I hope so. Yeah. Sometimes you're forced to use a pen, as painful as it may sound. But yeah, I get, it's when I first took it over, I was like, wow, I don't know if I can do this. Like I am a techie person and I just don't know if I can wrap my head around this old school paper biz.
Uh-huh.
But what did I
Yeah.
do? I adapted and I'm doing it and I've been doing it for a few years. Not to say that nothing is digital. I mean, I use an iMac. I use a lot of technology to get my work done. I just mean in terms of how the business is run. We're not on QuickBooks. Well, we are now. I'm in the process, and that's really my point. Is that I went from a very high tech life in being a producer and running my own life to this older school, like before my time, even paper pushing kind of thing. I was uncomfortable with it, and then got comfortable with it, and it's become weirdly comforting only because the transition into digital is a lot more difficult than it seemed. It's like when you have a clean slate or you are naturally moving into organizing your life in a evolved digital way, it's not as painful. But when you have something that isn't that. It's analog. And you have to go to it and you have to change all of that is definitely much more difficult. You have to transform it
Yeah.
into digital. You know, what is someone going to go through my whole filing cabinet and scan everything? I mean, what's the level of scanning I have to do here? You know, like there's a lot
Yeah.
of questions, and it's like this weird having to take off like training wheels where I'm like, I don't like paper. Like I don't want to use paper. You know, I am this digital person, yet I've become accustomed to the way that my dad was doing things, and now I have to
Yeah.
like get out of that comfort zone. It's been an interesting process. So I'm literally in the next month, that is what I'm doing. We have a QuickBooks account. It's just beginning. I'm going to leave this summer for a little stint, and by then I need to get a lot of things digitized or it's going to be
Yeah.
problematic.
So
So
that you
this is my
or
big
somebody
goal.
else can deal,
Yeah,
from a
totally.
laptop from
Yeah.
wherever.
Yeah, I can't just be chained to this PO box like, you know, oh
No.
wait, someone needs to get paid. Oh wait, I have to put something in the mail. I mean, it's just silly. It's silly to live like that. And I get it if you have a small business in a small community. It made sense for the time.
Yeah.
But it's time to evolve. So I'll kind of keep you guys
Yeah.
posted. It's going to be an interesting process. And yeah, I'll let you know when we're fully in the digital realm.
How about that, Heather? I look forward to it. Like I have friends who are like, "Why do you hate pens?" And I'm like, "I don't hate them. I just don't want them around. Like I just
You don't really find a need for them.
I just don't want to have to use one.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
it used to be, so I'm left-handed. It used to be like, ooh, that was like a conversation piece. And every so often, someone's like, "Oh, you're left-handed." I'm like, "Yeah, but like all I do is type with both
Yeah, it
hands."
doesn't
So
really
like I'm
matter.
not really a lefty anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, I
No, that's
guess
true.
I
That's a
would
good point.
be if I had to like, which
Play tennis or I don't know, use a
yes, yes,
hammer or
exactly.
something.
Yeah, even kicking a soccer ball, I want to use my
Yeah.
left foot more
Yep.
than my right. But recently, the person who did my taxes, my tax person, who lives in far away from me, they did all the things and they sent me something like a big old thing in the mail where I have to like sign and then send back to them, like because like they already filed my taxes,
Sure.
but like
Yeah.
just
You're
to
like
make
docu-signing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
make sure you know and a friend of mine who was in the house at the time was like, "Is your tax person like 95 years old?" I was like, people just do things,
They
on
do.
paper sometimes. I don't. I mean, I do if I have to, but I prefer not to.
Everybody has their style,
But
you know?
yeah, exactly.
And I
it is a
respect that.
style thing. Yeah.
It can be, I mean, there's certain things where I'm like, I don't like your style. Like, for example, my real estate agent, she will write a note on an email thread that has nothing to do with the note that she's writing. And she'll attach a document to an email that is completely unrelated. And it gets lost because when you search, you can't find what you're looking
I
for. It drives
see.
me
'Cause
absolutely crazy.
There's no, yeah, like
Yeah,
file
she has
name
no,
or
and she doesn't like change the subject. Are you drinking wine?
I'm not. I wish.
I have one of those wine
Do you?
Yetis. Yeah, I have a little white one. It's
Yeah.
great. The
It's
Yetis
cute.
are great. So we're talking about there's these kind of to-go cups. It's a brand called Yeti. They're all over up here. I think it's like they go hand in hand with Carhartt in that lifestyle, country life, and they're wonderful. Sarah's using one right now, and I noticed it because I can see her. You guys can't, but I can.
The Yeti, which it is it's great for cold things, but I usually use it for like coffee
Oh, interesting.
because it doesn't get cold throughout the day.
That's so smart because I have one and I only use it for wine, but I don't really drink wine out of it very often.
I mean, I feel like this is like unless you're camping, like
I
I'm probably
know.
not going
When
to
am I
drink
going to use
wine
that?
out of
I know.
this.
It's so true.
You
Okay,
know?
Sarah, I'm going to
Maybe.
turn over a new leaf. I'm going to use
That's
it for my
fine.
mushroom coffee. I'm still drinking it.
I had some cola coffee or mushroom cola this morning. So
Oh, yeah, so did I. Well,
yeah,
cola or root beer?
I had cola because the nearby place at my new house
Okay, let me ask
doesn't
you
have
this.
root beer.
See, I don't drink the whole thing in one day because it kind of has
No,
caffeine in it. Like it has the black tea. I wonder how much caffeine is really in it.
I don't think much, but
It's
I'm
like a
with
trace
you.
amount.
I think because of the effervescence, like I'm
Yeah,
maybe a third I'll have like in a sitting,
same.
and then I'll come
Me
back
too.
to it later.
Yeah, totally. I don't drink a whole one in a day usually. Anyway, but we digress, Sarah.
We do,
I think we need to wrap
as
this puppy
usual.
up. We should just call the show We Digress.
We digress. You know what? That's actually a good idea for
It
a
is a
show.
good name. I
That's
know.
free for anybody who wants to go ahead
I don't
and
know about free, but
it's probably a show already. But
$1 million.
just a reminder. Yeah, we do the show because we love it. Heather and I just love to hang out with each other. We
Do
have it.
you though? We do. We do. We
I mean,
love
I
it.
don't know if there's something you want to tell me, but
No, I love it.
This is the way that Heather and I have seen each other for the last several years without
true.
seeing each other in real life.
This is true.
You know, this is, it's therapeutic. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you enjoyed it as well, just a reminder that we are community supported. Patreon.com/have such a good day is where to find out more about being part of that community if you so desire. And
you should.
and you should. It's not mandatory, but it is appreciated. And we've had a lot of patrons stick around with us for quite some time. And shout out to y'all.
Yeah, so appreciated. It feels like we're like a little close-knit family. And it's funny because sometimes I'll refer to something that a Discorder said. I'll be like, yeah, my friend, so-and-so.
Yeah.
You don't even need to distinguish.
Yeah.
Even though we've never met in person, we feel like friends.
Indeed. Speaking of Discord, Heather and I, we are trying, as the summer rolls on, we're trying to figure out, how to make things like just more fun, between shows for all of us, for Heather and me, and for all of you. And we're thinking Discord could be, like a fun place to I don't know, ask a question, get some answers, and
Yeah.
then talk about, the community stuff on the other side of
advice
that.
or bounce things off
Exactly.
of others, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so if you're listening and thinking, oh, you know what I would love? If you did this, that, and the other, do tell us.
Yeah,
Hi at
totally.
havesuchagoodday.com, unless you are already in Discord, and then you can just tell us in Discord.
Exactly. There's a lot of ways you guys can communicate with us. You can go through Patreon. We have message boards and that kind of thing. We've got Discord. We've got email, hi@havesuchagoodday.com. And it's been so fun to be back in it with you, Sarah, once
You too,
again,
Hev.
after a short little break.
Yeah.
And looking forward to a summer of good convo.
Good fucking vibes. All right.
Great
That's
vibes.
all I want. Yeah, and just another thank you. I think life has been a little tough, for a lot of us. Certainly in my corner, and appreciate everybody who's along for the ride and is our friends. And
Totally.
that's super cool, and gives us the warm fuzzies.
It does, for sure. Yeah, feeling your support, for sure, from afar. So thank you so much. Can't thank you enough. We love you. And
We sure do. And Heather, until next time, what will you be?
Oh, Heather forever.
And
I mean,
will
who
be-
else would I be?
And I will be, I don't don't know. What do I even say?
You say Sarah
I'll be Sarah.
Mascara. I kind of like that.
Sarah Mascara. You know, I went.
think
I had a kindergarten class with a girl named Sarah Mascara. Not even
No
kidding.
way.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun name.
I don't
It has
know.
a nice ring
I don't
to
know
it.
if she was like a theater kid or if that was really her last name.
Her stage
Never-
name as
never
like a
asked.
little
I was
kid.
in kindergarten. But yes, until next week, I will be Sarah Mascara.
Have such a good day.
Bye.